Hey, what's up, guys? So, as Gen 5 released, the Iron Rhino also happened to release, so I just thought I'd point that out. Now, if you don't know what the Iron Rhino is, it's another pet. So I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what that looks like. Plus, you might have noticed the Tundra games, so we're going to look into that as well. And we're also going to discuss kind of what to do about with any of these events going on. So, if you want to stick around, feel free, but we're going to get straight into that. So, that said, the Iron Rhino here, we'll just go ahead and tame him right quick. Shouldn't have any problem at all. It's all a timing thing, at least for this part of it, anyway. Okay. Then, once again, we should be able to get him relatively easy. Okay. And like so. Now we gotta tame him by writing. And again, same idea as before, just stay in the middle. Basically, stay where the bar is green. It's basically the idea here. Obviously, it'll go back and forth. That's normal. I mean, if you've done the previous tamings, you will know. But for those of you that haven't, are unaware of what's going on here, it's relatively straightforward. It does have a tendency to knee-jerk like that, though, so you gotta be kind of careful. And then we just gotta tame him one more time. And luckily, we don't have any extra steps in this. I mean, normally you can do it in two, unless you're really, really, really bad, I guess. Not to say that it doesn't happen. I guess it does. Otherwise, I don't know why else they would have that there. It's kind of a question mark in and of itself. That said, though, all right, as you can tell, we got the Iron Rhino now. And so, just to kind of show you what he looks like here. All right. Here is our SSR Iron Rhino, and as far as like leveling him goes, I may not have enough. I think we'll be close enough to get the skill at least. Okay, so this skill here, as you can see, it increases your rally capacity, which, as you might imagine, makes him one of the most valuable out of all the pets that you have in the game, right? He's going to be one of the most valuable pets, in part because of that rally capacity jump. Now, of course, if you can't acquire the Iron Rhino's full development, that's totally fine, right? About the only people that are going to find value in this really are going to be your rally leads. So your average player is not going to be too jumpy about this. But as far as what he has to offer, okay, when maxed out, he's looking at a little over 150,000 increase on your rally capacity, which is, it's not nothing to scoff at by any means, right? You're going to want to upgrade them. So, if you want to pick up upgrades for him, you can go through the Teamer Pack route if you want. That's always an option. But now we're going to discuss kind of the Tundra games, which, as you might imagine, you get Sergey, and you get sandwiches, and you just go to town, right? And the idea is really relatively simple. You hit dummies, and in return you get drops. And most of the drops, as you can see here, are mostly experience, 5-minute speeds, and then occasionally you'll have a treasure chest that, if you get lucky, then you get a certain quantity of these sandwiches back so you can get more loot. During this event, events like this, right? The Tundra games is very similar to what we've seen in the Thanksgiving event and the Halloween event. It's basically a reskin of that event, more or less. But the main thing here is this is one of the best opportunities to get speed ups, and it's one of the best times, generally speaking, if you're going to be spending on the game. Because a lot of the time, you're going to get a stupid amount of loot from this. I mean, it is going to be a astronomically great opportunity. Now, like here, we got the Arctic Crusher. This is basically where you get your good loot, where now you're going to get, material chests, resources, that kind of thing. Yeah, and so obviously every once in a while you're going to run into those, and that's where you're going to really find yourself pocketing a really good amount of resource gains, gems, speed ups, what have you. And just like anything, for those of you out there that are free to play, really about all you can do is do everything you can during the Tundra games. So if you look at like what you gain, as far as like the actual skins go, there's the Emperor Penguin Slopes skin, which is, admittedly pretty cool. There's also the action emote of a polar bear going up on a pole bar. If you buy the pack for $5, and then at $10, you really just find yourself getting a lot of just extra loot. So like fire crystals and stuff like that. The main value point, I think, is really just these boosts, which I think for most people that are rally leads are going to pick that up for $10. Outside of that, though, you'll do King of Treasure, which right now it's power boost. Tomorrow it'll be Beast Slay. Then there's hero development. There's hero gear. Train troops is stage 4. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip it. Stage 6 is gather resources, and then stage 7 is chief gear. And so just like anything, you want to more than likely spend those during those events. You don't want to waste those during the the whole thing. And then really this is about where free-to-play can take over. Here is go ahead and try to do all these free-to-play. The only downside is that, yes, you do have one of these that makes it not free-to-play friendly, so there is always going to be a gotcha, and that's going to be your gotcha. Otherwise, you can spend stamina, get helps, do intel missions, hunt pillar, and then raise your construction power. So you can do almost 90% of this, except for that one little tiny bit. Of course, you do get the Penguin, which is a Snow Sovereign March skin, which is kind of cool. This is basically a skiing penguin, which admittedly is pretty darn cool. But outside of that, that is pretty much everything as far as the Tundra games is concerned. Eventually, once you hit your number of draws, then you can do auto attack. And then auto attack from here on out will pretty much do about the same. The only difference is at least now you don't have to sit there and tap it every 5 seconds. It's kind of a time saver in a sense, right? Again, you can see that every hit we're dropping, a fair amount. And once in a while, we'll, if we get lucky, like here, we'll go ahead and continue our... And again, the reason I say that is because it's really not going to make that much of a difference. The drop rate's not going to change. It's just more or less you're just using your auto hits. It's not going to do any difference, really. And again, Lucky Strike, it's grand and great if you get it. If not, no big deal. Again, it's just free hits, free loot, more or less. That's the trend here. Okay, so let's see if we got anything good. Okay, we got 1,000. That's a good chunk. And again, most of the loot here, as far as the loot table goes, there is the chief gear material chests at 2%, random cheap charms at 2%, essence stones at 2%, and 99.9% of it looks to me like it's going to be either gems. 8% of the time it's going to be 1 hours. And then you've got all these other 23% chances on the 5 minutes, 17% chance on the hero XP. And yeah, it's very much skewed in favor of hitting gems every time you hit the Brawler Buddy. Now, the Arctic Crusher, which is that giant monster we saw earlier, the drop rate is substantially skewed in terms of gems. Almost 80% of it just in gems. And the remaining 80% of it, you'll either hit 3-hour speed ups, essence stones, and chief charms at 2% a pop, which that is to say 99.9% of what you're going to gain out of this event is going to be gems. And every 2 to 3% of that is going to be once in a blue moon, is going to be a essence stone or a chest that may give you some materials. So, I mean, overall, right, what you're going to gain from this event really is going to be mostly speed ups, mostly gems, and that's really about all you're going to gain from it. But again, gems in general tend to be very helpful for a number of different things. Because again, you can use gems just about on anything. One of my favorite uses of gems really is just to dump them into VIP, because eventually I'll have my VIP level maxed out, and then I will have no longer any need for dumping gems in that direction, and I can use them for teleporters or for even events like Alliance Mobilization and so on and so on. So that said, that is pretty much everything as far as the event is concerned. For those of you that are kind of wondering what was going on. I hope that was helpful.